Alright, let's talk about Skylanders, because apparently I've been living under a rock and finally decided to dive into this franchise that somehow took over childhoods for an entire decade. And let me tell you, I have thoughts. Well, before we dive in, fun fact, I actually started my Skylanders journey with Swapforce. While a lot of people kicked off things with Spyro's Adventure, I picked Swapforce because out of the different titles, that one sounded and looked the coolest. Okay, so for anyone who's somehow more out of the loop than I was, Skylanders is this action-adventure game where you place real-life toys on the Portal of Power, and boom, they appear in-game. It's part video game, part collectible obsession, and part parents' financial nightmare. Back in the early 2000s, it was everywhere, so of course I had to try it. And that brings me to my first experience with Skylanders. First of all, let's talk about the setup. You've got this big chunky portal that connects via USB. You place a toy, aka the Skylanders, on it, and suddenly this little guy's running around on the screen. And I gotta admit, that's kinda cool, especially for the time it came out in. But then I realized something. I only had one figure, and apparently different Skylanders unlock different areas, meaning if you don't have the right toy, you're just locked out of content. And my wallet already feeling the pain. But I found a way out of this to save my wallet. Emulate it. Don't worry, it's perfectly legal. Probably. Alright, so let's get into the actual gameplay. It's a mix of hack and slash combat, light platforming, and puzzle solving. It's simple, but honestly, it's fun. There's something super satisfying about swapping out characters and using different abilities, but then it hit me. This game is designed to make you want more toys. Some areas are locked unless you have the certain type of Skylander. There are 32 in the first game alone. So you're telling me I have to hunt down all these little figures just to see everything? Luckily, no. Emulation. Now, don't get me wrong, this gameplay loop is addictive, and swapping characters on the fly keeps things fresh. But that collector's FOMO, it's real. I found myself thinking, what if I had that Skylander? Would it be even cooler? And that's where they get you. And yes, I have been close to buying more IRL figures, but I stood strong. Now, before I ever picked up a Skylanders game, I actually grew up watching Skylanders Academy on Netflix. Yep, that's right. This show was my introduction to the whole franchise. Diving into the games after all these years felt like meeting old friends in completely new settings. Skylanders Academy follows characters like Spyro, Stealth Elf, and Eruptor as training to become Skylander heroes. As a kid, I loved the mix of action, humor, and the bright, colorful animation. It had that perfect Saturday morning cartoon vibe that kept me hooked, episode after episode. Watching it now, I realize how simple the plots are, definitely geared towards kids with lots of slapstick humor. But there's a certain charm to it. Spyro, for example, is this cocky, sarcastic guy, which totally shaped how I expected him to be in the games. Playing the games now and seeing the difference in his character, kind of a trick. Honestly, I think what made the show stick with me was how it gave the characters more personality beyond just their in-games abilities. It made me curious about the world of Skylanders, which is probably why I was so excited to finally play the game. Seeing these characters in action again, but this time controlling them, pretty cool experience. Would I rewatch the whole series now? Maybe not, but it's fun to revisit clips and remember how it all started for me with Skylanders. It's like connecting the dots between my childhood and now. So, after my first dive into Skylanders, do I get the hype? Yeah, I kinda do. It's a fun concept, the gameplay is solid, and there's a ton of charm. But do I also see why this game is a money trap? Absolutely! Would I recommend it in 2025? If you're a collector or just love nostalgic games, sure. But if you don't want to go into financial debt, then maybe stick to used market or emulation. Just don't tell Activision I said that. Anyway, that's my first experience with Skylanders. If you grew up with it, let me know in the comments. What's your favorite figure? Also, should I try the other games in the series? I feel like I'm already too deep. Like and subscribe to send help.